Now that we've already considered the first two steps in thinking like an economist, let's consider the third. The third is that people respond to incentives. In other words, economists know that incentives matter. If you want to change the choices that people are making, then you can alter the costs and benefits of the different alternatives. For instance, if you don't want people to smoke, then you can raise taxes on cigarettes or tobacco products. If you don't want people to drink, impose taxes on alcohol. Or, of course, we could also encourage behavior by using subsidies. So, for instance, if we want more people to attend college, then we could subsidize their education. If we want more people to get flu shots so that we don't have a flu epidemic, we subsidize the flu shots. Or what about the classic example? What if we have a situation where as you have a child at the table and we know that they should eat their vegetables? Of course, the alternative is don't eat the vegetables. For this child, there are two alternatives. Of course, if they eat the vegetables, one of the direct benefits is that they get the proper nutrition that they need. Of course, if they don't eat vegetables, the benefit of that is that they perhaps are happier, because maybe instead of giving them the vegetables to eat, we give them sweets or cookies or things like that. What this means is, given these two choices, the opportunity cost of eating vegetables is the happiness you could have received had you been given something else to eat. Of course, the opportunity cost of not eating your vegetables is the nutritional value you would have received from eating your vegetables. When given these choices, most kids are going to choose don't eat the vegetables. It's going to have the lower opportunity cost. Children don't understand the importance of proper nutrition. But if we want to change that choice, then all we do is we put in an extra benefit here. We change the benefit of eating your vegetables to saying something like, if you eat your vegetables, you get dessert, you get cake, you get cookies, you get some sort of sweets. And if you don't eat your vegetables, no cake, no cookies. So we change this. We impose penalties on those children who don't eat vegetables directly by saying there's no dessert, and we give benefits to those children who do eat vegetables by saying you get the cake and the cookies. So the opportunity costs have changed. Now, if you don't eat your vegetables, not only do you not get the proper nutrition, you don't get the cake and the cookies. It's pretty high opportunity cost. Whereas if you eat the vegetables, what's the opportunity cost? Oh, you could have been a little bit happier, but even now that's no longer the case, because I'm not going to be happier. My parents aren't going to give me the sweets. They're not going to give me the cakes and the cookies. So in this case, if you eat your vegetables, the opportunity cost is really just the hunger you would have received from not having something in your belly. So this is going to change the incentive. More children are going to eat their vegetables. Of course, what might be expected to happen to enrollment in this class in Econ 101 if it was dropped as a requirement for business, journalism, or the communications majors? Part of the reason why people are taking Econ 101 versus some alternative, so let's say Econ 101 versus that jazz course, is that Econ 101 not only gives you all this happiness, this satisfaction, all this awesome knowledge, but Econ 101 also serves as a prereq. Once I take Econ 101, I can move on into my major. What that means is, so again, there's all these other benefits that we talked about earlier, as well as part of the benefit of taking Econ 101. So part of taking Econ 101 is it not only fulfills the prerequisite, but it provides all that other valuable information, the enjoyment, etc. So if you take the jazz class, the opportunity cost is pretty high. If you take the jazz class, you're not going to get the prerequisite that will help you advance into your major. It's going to delay your graduation by another semester. If we eliminate this prerequisite, what's going to happen to the opportunity cost of taking the jazz class? The opportunity cost is going to fall All else equal, that opportunity cost falls. What are you going to see? More people leaning towards the jazz class. Not everybody, because each of us values the jazz class and Econ 101 differently. But what this is going to do is, because it lowers the opportunity cost of taking the jazz course, more people will take the jazz course, less will take Econ 101. Consider another example. What's going to happen to college enrollments during a recession? Remember, whenever we go to college, there's an opportunity cost. It's the money we could have earned working. So our alternative is to work if we decide to go to college. Now, the fact that we said earlier that if I work, I could earn $25,000 per year assumes that we're able to find a job. During a recession, this is one of our macroeconomic topics, which we'll talk about more in the second half of the semester. During a recession, jobs are harder to find. So there now may be this case where instead of you finding a job with certainty that pays $25,000, you may not get a job at all. In other words, there is no foregone income if you choose to go to college. So let's suppose there's a 50% chance that you don't find a job during a recession and a 50% chance that you can find a job that pays $25,000 per year. Now, the opportunity of going to college is the expected value of what you would have received had you worked. In this case, the expected value is only $12,500. So during a recession, the opportunity cost of college, which is the money we could have earned working, is going to be lower. So the opportunity cost of going to college decreases during a recession. And when the opportunity cost decreases, that means we're going to see college enrollments increasing. Incentives matter. The incentives can change the decision. Sometimes the incentives are imposed by parents, as we saw in an earlier example, or by the university, as we see here, or going back even to if you want to deter smoking and drinking, it could be incentives that are imposed by the government, or sometimes we can just see the economic conditions change the incentives. But what we know is incentives matter. So now let's consider the final step of thinking like an economist. Economists think on the margin. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about what this means now because we will see plenty of examples as we go through the semester. But basically what this suggests is when we're making decisions, we make decisions such as how much? How much should I study? How much coffee should I drink today? How late should I keep my store open? Should I spend money to fix the exhaust system on my car? These are decisions that we make every day. Thinking on the margin is more about should we do a little bit more? In other words, not how much should I study, but should I study another 30 minutes? We don't ask the question, how much coffee should I drink every morning? We ask, should I have another cup of coffee? Or in the case of how late should I keep my store open, thinking on the margin is, should I keep my store open another 15 minutes? These are examples of thinking on the margin. When we think on the margin, we assume we are rational and that we will weigh the marginal benefit of doing an action against the marginal cost. So, if I decide to study an extra 30 minutes, what's the marginal benefit of studying an extra 30 minutes? I will weigh that against the marginal cost, the opportunity cost of my foregone decision. So, in the event that the marginal benefit outweighs the marginal cost, I will choose to study an extra 30 minutes. Now, thinking in this manner assumes that we ignore what's already happened. We ignore the previous actions. The previous actions meaning the fact that we've already studied for 4 hours. The fact that we've already studied for 4 hours is considered sunk cost. It should not weigh into my decision about whether I'm going to study an extra 30 minutes, whether I'm going to study an extra hour. That does not matter. We ignore sunk costs when we are thinking on the margin. Instead, we consider the extra benefit versus the extra cost. We will see plenty of examples of this as we move through the course material, and we'll even warm you up by doing one or two of these together in class. Have a good one.